Native Americans, what do they call it? They call it Alien Mountain. And yes, a lot of them do have stories of not only UFO sightings, cattle mutilations, also a lot of other strange events, and high strangeness in general is focused around that mountain, Archuleta Mesa, and the surrounding areas. And a lot of the natives who live there will say that there is absolutely a base underneath there. And that brings us to Phil Schneider. Phil Schneider was a geologist who was working for the government, who was contracted to do some work on this underground facility. His job was to basically drill test holes into the rock and check the samples of what comes out to see if the rock was strong enough to hold expansion of whatever said facilities in there. And according to Phil Schneider himself, something went terribly wrong. He came across something that, by all accounts, should never have existed at all. What am I talking about? I'm talking about he described it as a 7-foot gray alien being. It was a gray alien, but it was large. It was a 7-footer. He said it was the nastiest smell he's ever smelled. And I believe they took this elevator down, and when the doors opened up, they were right there. And what happened next was, by all accounts, it was a battle.
I was involved in building another base inside of Dulce, New Mexico, which is Los Alamos Laboratory. It's a biological laboratory. So in the southwest part of the Archuleta Mesa, we built an underground facility, a better part of 3 cubic miles, all about underground. Then to the southwest of that, we were in the process of the early stages of building. We drilled 4 large tunnel-like holes. Some of them ran 2.5 miles under the surface, 2 miles a day. It was fairly rapid. The equipment kept coming up broken. So we wanted to go down and wanted to send somebody down there, a human observer, or human observers in this case, find out what was going on. Well, to our total surprise, first of all, the government knew all about it. They didn't tell anybody. When I saw Green Beret and Black Beret people encamped inside of our geologist camp, I knew something was up. The gig was up. First of all, I knew all about the alien agenda. I'll explain that in a few minutes. The large alien grays had been encamped there for as best as believed possible about 400 or 500 years. It had been one of their internal bases. And we drilled holes right on top of it. All the stinking air, all the black sooty air came right out as soon as the first hole was sunk, and all this soot came up. And well, that's when all the hell broke loose, really. All it started. Anyway, after we drilled all 4 holes, it took about 2 days to drill all 4 of them. And when you build a underground base, you drill 4 basic holes, and then you call stopes or cross-member holes across, and then you use blasting equipment, special blasting equipment by the analyzation of the rock formation, and you literally blast out or tunnel out or deflagrate or melt rock out to build the large rooms that are required for this underground base. Well, in this process, I was lowered down the basket of one of these holes, and about from me to this elderly woman here in the front was sitting a 7-foot tall alien gray. The stench was worse than the worst garbage can you can imagine. The person or the entity was absolutely horrible. I didn't waste any time. I reached for my pistol. At that time, as an engineer, I didn't have time to carry all the folder, all of one of these big submachine guns that all the sea spray and the yellow fruit and all the outer perimeter and inner perimeter security people carried. I carried a little Walther PPK pistol with a 9-shot clip. This was in late August of 1979. Now, you got a regular suit of clothes, you got a regular clothes on, plus you're in almost like a spacesuit environment, and you're reaching for a gun. It's not the easiest thing to do, and then to pop a clip in it and start shooting. And I killed 2 of them. Yes, they're mortal, and they do die. However, in the process, one of them did this. All I remember is that he just kind of waved his hand in front of his chest, and the next thing I know, this blue beam hit me and just literally opened me up like a fish, and burnt my fingers right off of me. And it was some form of electrical force, because kind of like being hit by a lightning bolt, burned all my toenails off of me. Completely crispy crittered my left foot. Burnt the shoe right off of me. All I remember is the smoking remains, and I'm still conscious, but in and out of, I didn't remember much. And there was a Green Beret that was right behind me, risked his life. In fact, he died. But he risked his life. He shoved me back in the back and hit the button and took me up. I wouldn't be alive talking to you today if it wasn't for him.
So long story short, Phil Snyder was ended. His life was ended in his apartment. And when they found him, there was a catheter that was wrapped around his neck that ended up causing him to not live anymore. The official ruling was, you guessed it, he S-worded himself, okay? But here's the thing. His ex-wife said that that's impossible because Phil had no fingers on one hand. For two, he had very limited mobility in his shoulders, making it basically physically impossible for him to do that to himself. And a lot of his friends are convinced that he was taken out as well. And a number of people that he worked with were also taken out as well. So it wasn't just him. The whole cluster of people that were working on this operation were all removed at the same time. Now, let me be clear, all right? Like I said, none of this stuff can be verified. There's no actual evidence that the Dulce base exists. There's been no government documents. There's been no whistleblower testimony that can be independently verified, right? Because, Phil Schneider is the only one. And his claims can't be proven because, well, for one, he doesn't exist anymore. And for two, all the evidence that he did have mysteriously went missing with his removal of life, right? So all we have left is these videos that survived from his speeches telling us what he saw down there. But like I said before, and I don't want to be beating a dead horse with this, but the people who live in Dulce, in the surrounding areas, they tell a different story. They tell the same story that Phil did. They report UFOs flying over the mesa all the time, these strange lights. They also report strange military activity there. And mind you, closest military base from there is pretty far away. It would be, I think it's in Albuquerque. But the people who live there report constant strange military activity as well as strange lights and high strangeness similar to the things that happened at Skinwalker Ranch. There's been verified cases of unexplained cattle mutilations going back to I think it's the 1970s. In that area, okay? And all the residents there. And by the way, if you're watching this and you live in Dulce, around Dulce, or you know somebody that does, give us a story. Am I accurate in my depiction of the local legends surrounding these mountains, these underground bases?
Everybody wants to study what the Bible says. 2 old Bibles. But whose words are you reading? 212 years old. Who have preserved for all future generations the great truths of the Holy Scriptures. It contains the Apocrypha and was found discarded in a dumpster in Aiken, South Carolina. This one, 139 years old, sent to me for the Jesus House. Y'all know about this one, but this one is a sleeper. I've kept this one secret for 3.5 years. I have studied Jesus like a crackhead since I was a child, and I've never seen any information in this book. I never knew the Apocrypha was in there because it's not in the table of contents. Ecclesiasticus, the Wisdom of Solomon, the Apocrypha. This one contains a book that one's missing. I'm going to save that till last. That's the biggest question I have. History of the translation of the English Bible, modern divisions of the Bible, backstory on how they translated this, ancient divisions, order of the Bible, illustrations and descriptions of ancient money with their value in American money. A little bit odd to be in a Bible, underdog. A little bit strange. Everybody studies what the Bible says. Comprehensive and critical history of the books of the Holy Bible. But whose words are you reading? A concise account of each book giving the circumstances under which they were written, the names of their authors, the period of time covered, and a short synopsis of the prominent events recorded in each book. Do you think a little context might help? Most people never consider you're reading this 2,000-year-old text with a modern Western mind. You cannot conceive what they were thinking. It's like reading the light fixture instructions in Spanish. You don't understand it because it's lost in translation. That's why there's no connection. That's why there's no power. History of the books. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Ecclesiastes, Song of Solomon, Acts, Paul. Who else think Paul is a plant? Let's be honest, if you read the New Testament, it's a lot like Star Wars. They got 3 badass original episodes, and they just made up a bunch of characters and episodes on the end that we all hate. This is the cookie. Biographical sketches of the translators, reformers, and martyrs who have preserved for all future generations the great truths of the Holy Scriptures. Who translated this? John Wycliffe. That's what I want to know. Martin Luther. Who were they? What was their background? Where are they from? Lord Cobham. Jerome of Prague. What government did they work for? William Tyndale. John Rogers. Present revision had its origin and action taken by the resolutions of both houses of the province? I mean, they just told you that the government was running this show the whole time. The bishops of London endeavored to suppress them. I don't know what kind of old English text that is, but announced heavy penalties against anyone who should read or be found in possession of one of the testaments. An old Matthew from Tyndale's Testament. 1528. Only 500 years ago they were trying to suppress this. A complete list of the high priest of the Hebrews. Don't you want to know the power structure of the ancient Jews? Okay. This is a color map of... That looks like a... What the fuck? It probably is both.
These artifacts here are super high. They showed ayahuasca, mushrooms, and they're the grooviest alien artifacts. The grooviest. All right, so let's go.
I would not want to offend them by coming in there sober.
This? Okay. Whoa, you can feel that energy. Can you feel it blasting at you?
There's a couple things blasting me right now. ¿Está bien, señor Turco? Sí, sí, sí. This looks like a mummy. Holy wow. Well, Alex, you know how they said some will like call out to you? What the fuck? This is one of the strangest experiences of my strange life. I want to break it. This spins. That's spinning on it. Watch, I barely touch it, it moves. I just gotta... I'm telling you. No. That ain't the it moves on its own. It's got a little catch right here. See it, amigo? Se mueve su mismo aquí.
Sí, parece que tiene magnetismo la pieza.
Este es por tiempo. That's a magnetic clock of some kind. I know what the fuck that is. A lot of people think this is writing. I think it's some type of circuit board. It probably is both. It's kind of like you have encrypted data, which is data that contains very valuable information. You can't tell because it's encrypted. The information itself does something. When you take that data and put it into a computer, it becomes a computer system that's alive. If we have that technology today, this is the same type technology. It's just a lot older, and they could make it without any tools. But the clocks. The Mayans had 3 clocks. A solar clock, an earth clock. This is what's kind of crazy to me. Clocks they had were round, and they were kind of spheroid. They weren't perfect, and they would spin inside of each other like that, and then where they would meet in the middle would be another time. First thing I see is damn 2 clocks that somehow work off of magnetism and something that I can't move that does not open that appears to point somewhere. I'm automatically thinking that that is something pretty interesting. And I know why they made it. That has something to do with Earth's time. What we conceive of as time is some circular thing. It's a concept. Oh, yeah. But they determine time off of the sun, precession, the only true time clock of planet Earth. Right. Most people don't live long enough to know what precession is. Yeah. Every 70 years, the Earth will lose 1 little degree on the horizon as the obliquity of the Earth causes it to wobble in its orbit. Now you know what I really spend my time thinking about. You think I just live in a van and do solar. Now I think about big brain and shit, dog.
And terrible, with 26 legions of demons under his command. Berith was the chief secretary of Hell, head of its public archives, and the demon who tempted men to blasphemy and murder. When seated among the princes of Hell, he was usually seen as the Grand Pontiff for Order of the Fly. As an angel, Berith was Prince of the Order of Cherubim. As a demon, he serves as a master of ceremonies. He notarizes pacts with the devil. He is respectful and worshipped by alchemists and necromancers.
The sigils of the Ars Goetia are a set of mystical symbols used to summon, control, or communicate with the demons listed in the first book of the Lesser Key of Solomon. The text catalogs 72 demons, each with a unique sigil that represents their name, rank, and powers within the infernal hierarchy. The Ars Goetia is part of a larger tradition of grimoires, which are medieval books of magic that provide detailed instructions on how to summon and control spirits. The origins of this text itself are shrouded in mystery, but it's believed to have been compiled in the 17th century, drawing from earlier texts and traditions that date back to the Middle Ages. Each sigil in the Ars Goetia is a unique graphic signature associated with a particular demon. The process of creating these sigils, known as sigilization, involves transforming the letters of a demon's name into a complex, abstract symbol.
Baal's most well-known power is invisibility. Those who summon him seek his ability to make people vanish from sight, a valuable skill for spies, thieves, and occult practitioners who desire stealth.
Today is October 28th. It is 2017. My name is Michelle. I have a YouTube channel called The Moral Compass.
This is a non-gender agenda. This has always been about having no women, no man, no mother, no father. After the fallen angels had sex with human women, gave birth to these giants.
Still asleep?